In this video, I'm going to show you how to airbrush this basic camouflage effect using only a few colors. Let's get into it right now. So to create my camouflage design, I'm not going to use any masking. I'm also not going to use any freehand templates. Instead, I'm just going to airbrush it freehand using a few different airbrushes. The first color that I'm going to use is sand, and I'm going to spray the base with this particular color. If you don't have this color, you can just mix one up very similar, and there you can get a better look at what that color actually looks like. Keep building up those coats. You can see I'm doing multiple coats and just building up lightly. Try not to saturate the surface. Good thing to do when you are painting a flat color, spin your canvas, or in this case the panel, around. You can see I've got some track lines there, but now by spinning it, I'm able to color across, and that helps to eliminate those lines. And I'm currently spraying it around 30 psi. So I'm going to mix up a darker green. Start off with some reducer. I'm going to put about that much in. I'm going to go with the sand. Now some dark green. Pretty much add the same amount roughly of dark green. Again, I'm just doing this by eye. Give that a shake. Kind of what I'm going for, a dirtier green. I want to go a little bit more, so I'm going to add a bit more of this dark green. And then just to darken it a little bit, you can see it's pretty good. Could work with that, but I want to go a fraction darker, so I'm going to add some sepia. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So just put 10 drops of sepia in, and we'll see if that's going to change it enough. I don't want to lose that green. I'm going to add some more sepia. And that's where we're at now, and I'll run with that one. So it doesn't really matter what green you're going to go with. It just needs to be a green that you're happy with. And I suppose the most important thing is what surrounding are you trying to camouflage against? They're the colors that you need to be using. And this is where it takes a lot longer if you are doing it freehand like this, because you've virtually got to come in on those edges nice and sharp, then colour in from there. You can see I'm up nice and close. You can even angle your airbrush up so that your overspray goes in this direction, and I'm just keeping that air press down, pulling back and forth on the trigger to allow paint to come out and shut it back off again, and I'm moving with it as I'm doing that. That's allowing me to essentially colour in as even as possible. You can see how that colour also changes as it dries. So I'm moving around into different spots. Now the reason I'm showing you this freehand rather than masking, I mean it takes a lot longer to lay out your mask to start off with, but once you've got it all laid out, it's a lot easier to spray and you're going to get a real defined edge. However, if you want to do this on a model aeroplane or a tank, something that's curved, well, it's going to be a lot harder for you to cut masks and lay them down on a curved surface. So that's why I thought I'll show you how to do it freehand, and then you can cover all bases and apply this method to whatever it is that you're painting. So just continue to lay out some really odd looking shapes. I'll go ahead and do that now first. Keep in mind we've got other colours to add as well. And then repeat the process of colouring in. If you are relatively new to airbrushing, then I'd probably recommend that you give this a go on a more absorbent material. This is a aluminium composite panel which I'd pre-prepped, so it was sanded with a grey Scotch pad, but it's a lot harder to work on. So if I'm up nice and close like this and I pull back too far, you can see what happens. It'll spider out on me, so you've got to keep that in mind. make sure that you've got your air pressure dialed in. That's why I dropped my air pressure down from 30 plus PSI, which I used to base coat the panel, down to 25 PSI, and that's now allowing me to control the paint flow and not be as vulnerable to those spiders. See, even there it was blowing out a bit. If that happens, just move away from that section and start colouring in another area. And you can also let the air from the airbrush dry the paint. If you are going to give this a go, let me know in the comments what you're going to be painting with this camouflage effect. I'd love to hear all about your projects and what things you are likely to camouflage. Using this mix now, I can safely say that it would have probably been better to add less reducer and run the paint a bit thicker. I've made it a fraction thin, and that's why you can see that it does spider out in spots and get quite wet, so I have to keep moving around. But that's fine. Pushes me to control the airbrush a bit more and gives you guys a bit of a look at what happens when the paint is too thin. Now you can see I'm angling that airbrush in order to control my overspray and keep it within the camouflage pattern. But let's say that you by accident went like this and you came out too far. So if you do a slip up like that, no need to worry, you can just join it back up again. And it'll easily blend in. You see I've gone a bit wet there, so I'll let that dry and move over to this one. Now that this is dry, work back over the top of it. That'll also even out the green. You can see it's easier to colour in when you're further away, but then you're risking more overspray, so just keep that in mind. Up close contains your overspray, but it's harder to get that nice even coat. Just a quick look of what it should look like so far after you've completed the green. Again, you don't even need to copy my patterns. Just go with some random shapes yourself and just follow along with the colours if you wish, or alter them. Next colour is sepia. I like to draw out the shape that I want to go with and then start colouring in from there. So I just completed that little section there. So we're going to continue, move on. What you can also do is run it into the previous colour. So in this case I just worked over the top of it, but you could also slot it right in there if you wish. I'm still wanting to keep a bit of that sand in between, and I've still got the transparent black to go as well. You can see a bit of overlap there. Again, no problem. Now just go back over any that have got any patchiness in them, just to even them out. Clean up any edges if you wish. Taking a closer look. Final tone now is some black. This does have some transparent base mixed into it. It's just a pre-mixed black that I've already got. You don't necessarily have to have that in there. You can just use straight black if you wish, and that'll probably give you easier coverage. Now I'm coming in and using the PS770. The beauty of the black is you can easily work over the top of any other color. It opaques nice and easily. And I thought I'd show you this particular brush that works at a lower pressure and also has a finer nozzle. So this one runs a 0.18mm needle nozzle setup, as opposed to the Eclipse, which has a 0.35, and the PS289, which is the airbrush I use to base coat this artwork, uses a 0.35 as well. And you can find all of these products listed in the description below, as well as other helpful video tutorials and playlists, so be sure to check that out. You can see the black is a lot easier to use, it's a lot quicker to get coverage. Again, just random shapes, nothing too spectacular. Definitely a good fun one to do, and it will help with your practice, especially with lines and colouring in, and also more importantly keeping that air pressed down at all times and just getting the feel for using that double action trigger technique, meaning pulling back on the trigger to let the paint come out and then returning it to the start position. Now let's say you wanted to have a softer blend between your colours, then all you need to do is come back a little bit further from the surface, and that's going to give you overspray like so, and then that way you're going to get a softer blend rather than this harsh edge. And remember, if you mask it, it's going to be sharper again than this. Even though I'm controlling my lines and I'm up nice and close and I can get a reasonably sharp defined edge around the solid colour, it's never going to be as sharp as if I was to use masking tape or any particular masking film. So I'm going to go ahead and seal it with some Crystal Coat varnish. This is a matte varnish. It'll just flatten off all of my camouflage pattern. So to continue your learning, be sure to check out some of the other videos and playlists that I've got listed here. And until next time, go grab your airbrush, do some amazing artwork yourself, and I'll see you again very, very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.